Good. Great. So thank you, Adrian, for being willing to take part in this podcast, which is obviously looking at leadership, just in the context of the book that's coming out shortly, we hope, called I See You. So I really do appreciate you coming on to do this.
No problem.
Perhaps we can just kick off with you telling us a bit about yourself, what your current role is. That would be great.
Right, yes, I'm a director, 50% owner in Griffiths and Pegg Chartered Accountants up at the waterfront near Merry Hill Shopping Centre, and have been here as Griffiths and Pegg for 30 years, coming up in January. We've only been in the waterfront for the last 8 years, but in Cradley Heath before. We're accountants, look after all sorts of things, from smallest up to large companies, up to 50 million. Yeah. I generally look after new business, audit, tax, accounts, strategic planning, and our main role in recent years that's developed is on the sports accountancy side of things, where probably about 15% of our clients are now sports people.
Brilliant, that's great. And what's the sort of size of the team that you have there?
Business partner who's also been here 30 years, and then we've effectively got 11 accountants work for us and support staff, of which 3 or 4 support staff. So a nice setup, probably been about that size or 1 or 2 more over the last 15 years.
Great, well done, that's brilliant. Well, perhaps as a kick-off question then, perhaps I can ask you who it is you would say has influenced you most in the way that you lead.
Good question. I mean, I suppose originally, I suppose you can say my dad. He was an ex-tax inspector, and taught me that how exciting accounts and tax can be. and then obviously when I joined Griffiths and Pegg in 2000 and get the years wrong. 1992. I was going to say 2002. 1992. There was the ex-partners there that obviously I learned from. Yeah. And then maybe in terms of that, you maybe admire sort of business leaders or political leaders who've shown elements of fairness and sort of economic stability, maybe looking back sort of Tony Blair or Gordon Brown type of leaders, business people who've obviously come from nothing and worked their way up. So no one super special, but that's probably my thoughts at the moment. Yeah.
Sure. What sort of characteristics in leaders kind of turn your head towards and you think actually that's an attractive thing in you as a leader? That's the kind of thing I would say, I'd like to follow that.
Being able to inspire, I suppose, and being fair about things, and maybe looking at other clients who have done that and, have got a good team around them, without, running a business through fear.
Yeah.
So, that's probably about it. Yes.
Okay, brilliant. So just thinking about leadership in general, why do you think leadership is such a critical issue at this time?
Well, I suppose someone's got to sort of take up the baton, if you like, and someone's got to grab the nettle, whatever you want to say about that. Yeah. And sort of come up with new ideas and maybe change the way we're working and sort of seek new avenues. And, everything's changed in the world in recent months, obviously, and things are different, but you've got to adapt, and I think it's up to the leaders to to guide the people who aren't leading into the right ways.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I think lots of people say that the crisis make the leader, but actually I think probably more accurately the crisis reveals the leader. It's kind of what's going on in the inside suddenly becomes quite visible.
Or reveals some leaders that aren't very good in a crisis.
Absolutely.
Mention no names.
Yeah, mentioning no name, that's good. One of the things I talk about in the book is about the leader's motivation to lead. What would you say are the main motivations for you in terms of being a leader in your organization?
I suppose to sort of create success and sort of wealth for the firm and for family going forward, and stability. I've always thought I'm more of a leader than a follower, and it gives you an opportunity to create your own destiny. I suppose I've not been second to anybody for the last sort of 25, 26 years. So I would find it difficult working for somebody. And, I in a lot of ways, you you're trying to create something that's, good for, the team, and as well as obviously you personally.
Yeah, that's it's interesting to say. Do you think it's possible to, I mean, people come into leadership for different reasons, and sometimes those reasons are around status and around recognition, a reward for things that have happened. Do you think that you can lead other people well if that is your main motivation, that you're just really kind of, number one is the most important?
Not really, I suppose. You've just got to you've got to have that sort of attitude that that you are the leader, and but you've got to be careful that that it's very easy to make mistakes, and maybe you sometimes watch with clients and the successful clients, and some sort of do it by I didn't get where I was today without being like I am, which can be very hard and very strict about things, but others sort of cuddle the staff and make sure that they're looked after, and there's different ways. So it really just depends on who you're leading, really.
Sure. But you feel like it's difficult to get enough or the best out of other people if you haven't got them in mind.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. And it's sometimes easy to forget that you have.
Yeah, sure.
It's sometimes very easy to forget that you've got to take into account other people's feelings.
Yeah. As you've mentioned a couple of times already, you've been in position a while. What would you have told the young Adrian Grainger as he was coming in about leadership that you now know, that you wish you'd known then, perhaps?
Maybe a little less bull in a china shop, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
A little less sort of gung-ho approach, but in other ways you learn from the way you do things, and and then maybe you look back and say, yeah, maybe I should have had more empathy towards the staff, and have dealt with things a little bit better. But I suppose you only learn from that, and that's part of it. If you don't make mistakes, you don't make anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally 100% agree with you. I think the thing you're saying there is that as a leader, you definitely don't have it all worked out as you get started. But what you're saying, which is really great, is that you learn, and if you're willing to learn, then and you can change accordingly, then your leadership.
We're always learning.
Yeah.
Whether that be new rules, professional development, to ways of doing things, and I think this current pandemic has taught us to say we've still got to learn how to do things, and if you don't change, you fail.
Yeah. I mean, there's lots of people that would have said, I wouldn't want my staff to be working flexibly, but
absolutely.
Yeah,
I think times have changed.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've got a different environment now, haven't we?
Yes, absolutely.
So what would you say would be evident of a leader who does work with the highest good of those that they lead in mind? What would be kind of the things that, I mean, you've touched on it already, but what would be some of the characteristics of such a leader, do you think?
I think as far as we're concerned, maybe it's, maybe creating a more, interesting client base, which provides a more enjoyable environment for the staff to work in, and therefore, if you can do that and create, a better firm, a more profitable firm, it can, filter down into them with regards to higher wages. We've always made sure that the staff get, a higher than inflation wage every single year without fail, and they do appreciate that. And sometimes it's, better than others, but it's always been, higher than inflation. And you look at the public sector levels that they're arguing about. We've always paid our staff increases in wages more than the nurses are getting, for example, every year without fail in 20 years.
Yeah, brilliant. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that financial reward is a way in which you value your staff.
Yes, I think you've got to make sure that's the case. But I think in a lot of ways you've also got to look at elements of little things can make a difference, even if it's just bringing cakes or treats or anything like that, or little things, a nice new toaster, whatever that may be. Just thinking of examples in the office, which and making getting a new coffee machine and bringing some well-known coffee brand capsules and stuff. So they think it's they're doing little things, and they do count little things.
Yeah, Yeah. And you have those kind of, I'm guessing you have those kind of socials as well as a staff team from time to time. If
Yes.
obviously not recently.
Not recently, no. No, we missed out on our Christmas meal for the first time in 30 years of being here, which that's just the way it is. But we made sure that they were compensated, by extra sort of alcoholic beverages, shall we say, at Christmas.
Excellent. No, that's good. That's really good. I mean, as you say, I think you're right. I think sometimes it's not, the financial reward is one thing, and obviously people want to be, have a living wage and be recognized financially, but it's sometimes those other things, those little things like, asking how somebody is, or remembering that whatever is going on in their lives that tend to make such a big difference, don't they?
We're fortunate we've got such a very steady base that everybody knows each other very well, and most people in the office have been here longer than I have. So, from that point of view, when people's birthdays are, their families and what they do, and the sort of ways they are, and them back to front, really, which is fortunate, really, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, it's quite something, isn't it, when people have stayed that long? That says something.
Yes, hopefully.
What do you think, just sort of turning its head slightly, what do you think really gets in the way then of teams performing to their potential, do you think?
I suppose I've always thought maybe sort of elements of people who are maybe, the expression I heard was mood hoovers, sort of maybe negative thinking, and also maybe a lack of confidence in their own ability when they can do it.
Yeah.
And they just say, oh no, I couldn't do that, but they can, and there's too much. Sometimes there's too much negativity, and that mood hoover expression I've used is I think is a good way. Obviously, you've got to make sure they get the right training, and you can have, problems if you get the wrong mix of staff that people don't get on.
Right.
So that can get in the way of the team. You've also got to remember that, it's like a football team. You don't put your goalkeeper up front and vice versa. Everybody's not a striker. Some people like to be the engine room, the midfield maestro, and who provides, and you've got to accept that everybody's different.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I can see what you're saying. So what you're saying is sometimes that people are perhaps in there are not in a role which suits them, or that kind of thing.
Hopefully not, but I think I've sometimes got to accept everybody's not me. And if I say, yeah, that's fine, go and talk to that person, win that business, that's not what they do. But then they can be more technical about things and have more attention to detail than me. So we're all different.
Yeah,
we all have different roles, and hopefully integrate together in a team which achieves a common goal. But and it's work to your strengths.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it? I mean, I think working to your strengths is not something that we're kind of used to when we're in the education system, because I guess we're trying to bring everybody up to a basic level, but often we try and train that out of people, don't we, rather than sort of help them to become really good at what they're good at.
It's the old, you don't all have to be a master of all trades, but only be a specialist in one area.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you're right. And I think in terms of leadership, that, the specialism there is that you can facilitate the team, enhance the best out of them, putting them in the places where they can thrive. And yeah. So in terms of, you mentioned before that some people just don't get on with each other. Have you found ways in which you can help that, or in your
I think it's sometimes when it's been if people have disagreed over ways, it's just the type of people they are, really. So but we don't have any problems internally. You always have one, and I suppose sometimes when you have got a tight-knit group, if somebody comes from the outside and does things differently, there can be a bit of friction, but generally you iron out any problems, so we don't have any issues but of any great consequence. But hopefully if there is, it's sorted out. Everybody gets on. There's always be disagreements, like there is in any office or any life environment.
It's just having the wherewithal to work through them.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. So in your experience, how important would you say is good communication in building an effective team?
Very, I suppose. Being there to sort of help each other, teaching each other, passing on knowledge, which was when people weren't in the office. It's hard to do.
Right.
Quite often when we were the open office environment, which is where most of the staff are, there's always someone's got a problem, and they say, has anybody ever dealt with this? Has anybody done that? Well, when you're not here, you can't do that. It's all right working from home, but there's going to be issues that can come up where somebody's dealt with it recently, that they can say, oh yeah, I can do that, or help with a computer problem, or whatever it may be. And it is important to do that. And obviously, if they need to have a group discussion, or asking sort of ways how they can improve the office life, then communication is important. So I think historically we sent out sort of a little request to everybody, tell us things you think would make the office better.
Right.
And one of them, which came back virtually by everybody 8 or 9 years ago, was move offices. And we did.
Right. Okay.
That's what everybody wanted.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, that's good. It's interesting, isn't it? So what you're saying is that the pandemic has forced us to kind of really focus on how we communicate and how we can communicate differently, but still effectively.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's good. So what have you found? I mean, you mentioned about, finding out from the staff, what it was that they felt would make the office better, and you moved as a result. Are there other ways that you found that have been good for kind of ongoing communication?
We did have sort of, some, talk from mental health charity to have a look at that and help people along. And obviously, that's very relevant at the moment. So,
sure.
That's certainly an area. And, there's pieces of paper on the wall that say, if you've got a problem, please phone this number. We don't have to know about you phoned it. So if somebody has, great, because, mental health is such an important and relevant area that sometimes you don't know who's got the problem. Some it's really obvious, but some it isn't. Yeah,
no, that's really good. So in terms of, obviously we hope that we seem to be coming out of lockdown restrictions currently, in England anyway. What would you say are some of the leadership challenges that you particularly have found that you've faced in leading your team through the last few months?
Staff illness. We
Right.
did have a few staff off with COVID, and that obviously was an issue. So it's managing that in the right way.
Yeah.
Very strict COVID rules in terms of, we've got screens between the offices, and the obvious hand sanitizer everywhere, and wearing masks when you left your desk, which we've relaxed a little bit now. Not seeing clients upstairs. So it's just changing things, and accepting that some clients can find things difficult, and some can be very demanding because they've suffered a lot due to lack of trade. So it's just doing that and being aware that they've got mental health issues. And I've had clients cry in my office. I can't believe I've gone through this time and I'm still here, and you've just got to talk them through it, and ensuring that we don't overload staff as well. So when there has been busy times that people need things doing, that it's spread around the office fairly. So it's been tough, but I don't think it's been as tough as I thought it would be.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
In that 3 months when the office was shut.
Right.
That was tough.
Yeah.
I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah. And what you're saying is that, in terms of your leadership, you had to be flexible. You've had to be agile in some respects to change the way that you do things and the way that you interact with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. One of the themes I tackle in I See You, it's an interesting one, and I called it love-led leadership in the book. But I suppose if I said it in context, it's just in contrast. I think you mentioned it towards the beginning of our conversation, in contrast to leading out of fear, which in my experience at times as leaders, we all battle with. What would you say are the benefits that you've discovered of leading less out of fear, I guess, and more out of love or concern for those that you lead?
I think it is a balance. You've got to make sure that the staff know that they can come to you with issues, even if it's like personal issues, or because of the type of age of the staff we are. A lot of them have gone through parental bereavement and illness and things like that, and it's obviously helping them through that. To make sure that they are part of the team, and it's not all for us. So we are working together, making sure that the staff morale is kept as high as possible. Not always possible, but you try, and and hopefully that causes less stress and less days off through through sort of a mental health issue. And they always say 95% of days off from mental health are people phone in and say, "Oh, I've got an upset stomach," and then only 5% of the people phone up and say, "I'm having a mental health day."
Yeah,
they dress it up as something else.
Yes.
So we tend to sort of when I'm making the coffee machine, we have discussion on the football or whatever it is, to and have a bit of a quiz or something like that. And I'm standing by the coffee machine and say, right, here's Olympics quiz or football quiz or whatever.
Yeah.
And people are distracted for a few minutes, and so it becomes more enjoyable and breaks up the day, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah, and in one sense, what you're saying is that you're seeing people as people. You're not treating them as commodities.
It's a fine line. They've still got to realise you're the boss, but they can still call you Aid or whatever, and still treat you as a mate, but they still know you're the boss. It's a fine line you've got to tread. That sometimes that you have to say, I am the boss.
That's right. This is the way we're doing it. Yeah.
Right.
No, that's good. One of the things I think in the years that I've known you, Adrian, is that I've admired about you, you probably don't even know this, is that I think you have a good work-life balance. I know that you're very busy at the moment, but what would you say are some of the things that help you keep, well as a leader in terms of your own physical and mental health? What do you do that really helps you to be, because we say a healthy leader is a happy leader often. So
well, it's just trying to get the right balance, and maybe sometimes sort of spread what you do over a period of time. It's not a 9-to-5 job, and making sure that you can do things which you enjoy. There's always going to be things you don't enjoy.
Yes.
Work and whatever. I've got to do a sporting thing on Monday, which is work. It's going up and meeting sports people and doing that, and so it's trying to sort of fit your life and your sporting and your work life balance right. But if you can mix them, then that makes it easier, I found.
Yeah. And you make sure, I'm assuming you make sure that you get time off.
Yeah, of course. Probably less than I used to.
Yes.
Years ago, because I've got more clients, but I don't mind that. You get on with it, don't you? And you tend to sort of work more hours.
Yeah.
And which means if you want a few days off, you can. But then when you've got a few days off, you don't actually have a day off. You still might be taking your laptop and answering some questions, or someone's going to phone you or text you, and you're still dealing with it, even if it's on social media.
Yeah.
There's no day I have a completely day off.
No.
Never. You don't.
No. So, but you do try and get some time away from things. I mean, assuming watching the football, you can't take your laptop in there.
No, but you might make a phone call to a client on the way down, or whatever. So you tend to sort of, there's always something work related to it.
Yeah.
Which is why I think I find it difficult to retire, because I go, well, okay, where's the work gone?
Right. Yes.
To be honest.
Good to be thinking about.
Yes.
So finally, what would be one or two pieces of advice that you would like to offer other leaders of teams? If there's things that you write, these are really important to me as a leader, or things that you found that help you get the best out of people, what would they be, do you think?
Oh, good question, really. I think if you're looking at business, find that niche. Don't try and be a jack of all trades. Find a pool that suits you. Don't try and dip into everything and then fail at some things. If you go, no, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. If certain things aren't your bag, don't do them. Delegate to others what they are better at and quicker at than you are. Concentrate on your core skills. I will not touch things I'm no good at. Delegate or refer work to other specialists in areas that they are better than you. And then try and present a united team to the outside world. and and praise the staff to the clients as well. Say, yeah, they're a good worker. They do really good for you.
Yeah.
And and if they, like yesterday, a client came back and said, tell that staff member for me, he does a really good job and he looks after me and I really appreciate it. It is that interaction to say, yeah, he's a good worker and he gets on with it and hopefully he's done you a good job. And so that's probably about answers it, I think.
Excellent. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, Adrian, for your time, and also thank you for your input in terms of when I was researching for the book.
No problem.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet, but we're hopefully within a few weeks of seeing it being published. So
I look forward to reading it.
Yeah, that'll be fun. But just let me thank you very much for that, and yeah, wish you all the best with your continuing leadership journey.
Thank you.